ready. Go. Y'all ready? Yes. Welcome. 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 Yes, welcome. Yes, welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Hi. Welcome to Cup of Joe with Anna and Sheila. I'm Anna.
I'm Sheila.
We are not professionals.
Never.
So Cup of Joe, just to reiterate, like, follow, share on
Yes.
Cup of Joe FL.
Yep.
Right? And we have a YouTube channel now, or apparently we always did. What was the name of the channel?
I don't know,
Producer
Boomer.
Aaron? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, Boomer. But like, follow, share. We're a local grassroots little organization that exposes local, Sheila.
It's not raining.
Okay. That covers kind of local events,
Yep.
national events,
Yep.
statewide events, to educate sort of our vast audience as to the opportunities and issues out there so people can get involved. So like, follow, share. Let us know if you enjoy our podcast, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page.
And Twitter.
Oh, and Twitter.
We have like 2 followers right now. No, we have a few more than that. 21.
Oh, 21. But we have the Lincoln Project following us now. So it's
We
not
love
about
that.
quantity.
It's quality.
Quality. Right. So Sheila, I haven't seen you. You know, I've been working and
I know you've been working way too much.
I know. But what's going on?
Well, good news. Meghan Markle won her lawsuit. So she can sue the British tabloids. Yay. The judge said that they were wrong. Yeah.
Yes. I forget. You are kind of Canadian, right?
I'm
Sort
Canadian,
of.
yeah.
So, you know, you are still attached to the motherland. And we did talk about the mothership, about that vast imperialist society. I know that you respect imperialism, Sheila.
Yeah. You know, Justin Trudeau, smart man.
Smart man. But, you know, that rumor, I guess it hasn't been substantiated. So maybe somebody was just playing a joke on me.
Well, and also, did you see the European leaders calendar for COVID?
I didn't know there was.
We'll have to get Erin to pull it up if she can find it.
Oh,
all of the European leaders who are buff and tough and gorgeous.
Well, even women too?
No, just the boys.
Well, that's not fair.
And they exposed their shoulder and their pecs, and it was pretty funny.
Oh, it was fun. It was sarcasm?
No, it was like really buff world leaders.
Okay.
It started off with the French econ minister.
Oh.
And he had this picture of him with his, you know, gorgeous chest sticking out and his muscles sticking out.
Well, I guess that equates to the fact that we have to, I mean, from a men's perspective, you're respected if you're a buff and macho. And for women, you have to have beautiful hair, makeup, and be quiet and make everything nice for everyone. Right?
And the other good news since we saw you was that the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl.
Oh, Aaron's not a fan. Yes. I did hear there was a sporting event in Tampa Bay, and I for one love to watch billionaires, you know, just create concussions and things like that. That's sport to me.
But seeing Tom Brady escorted off of his boat because he was so hammered was just like the icing on the cake.
Well, you know, Sheila, those carb diets though, I mean, they're really tough, number one, once you go on them. And then once you ingest alcohol, not like I'm speaking from experience, you better watch out. So poor Tom Brady.
I know. But then he threw the Lombardi trophy across to another boat.
Well,
you could hear his daughter in the background going, "Daddy, no!"
He
heaved it across to the other boat. Yeah, they were all pretty drunk.
Okay.
But if Melinda's out there listening, Melinda, Gronk does a lot of stuff with the Animal Rescue League in Boston when he was up there. Maybe you guys could get him for Big Cat Rescue because he has a Gronk with Kittens catalog or calendar, which, you know, would sell and make a lot of money.
You know what? We should have an Anna and Sheila calendar.
We should.
That, you know, to promote whatever event. Oh, yes.
A Joe and Obi catalog.
Right. Speaking of local promotions, Sheila, I brought you a present today. Would you like to explain what it is to our viewers?
Okay, I'm going to be very politically correct. This is a Red Rooster chocolate lollipop.
Right.
And what's the other name for rooster?
It is a cock.
And what's the other name for lollipop?
That would be a sucker.
So what is this?
This is a beautiful cocksucker.
Mm-hmm. And it smells divine. I can't wait to eat my cocksucker later today.
I think the proper word is, like the owl said, lick.
Lick. Meanwhile, I think my husband just fell off the chair at home.
So anyway, this is a local Tampa lady who makes different baking treats.
So
and
good.
For the Hallmark holiday that we have upcoming, which is known as Valentine's Day, to make people feel inferior if they do not have a partner, which is perfectly fine. I mean, the society not only, respecting powerful, strong men and beautiful women, also expects a cohesive couple unit, which is not really the case. But anyway, it's a societal values. It's structural society, I guess, imperialism. Anyway, so
she's on a roll today.
Yeah. So I had too much coffee. I had too much Joe. Anyway, so she makes these beautiful baskets, homemade baked goods. They're so beautiful. And Erin's trying to find her link. So, and the baskets, I'm sorry, I don't have one. She has lights in them and they're very cute. And she's trying to start her own business. She's a single woman.
I think Erin and I deserve a basket the next time you go to work.
I should see if she's going to do a St. Patrick's Day. Right.
For the Irish in us, which, Erin.
I'm not Irish. I am, actually.
I'm half.
Yeah. Well, you're also Canadian, so doesn't that counteract?
I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, enjoy your cocksucker.
Why, thank you.
The other thing that's kind of, I've been seeing little flips is this, this trial going on in DC.
There's a trial?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you wouldn't think so because did you see the attorneys on the other side? Oh,
18 of the jurors didn't show up yesterday.
18 of the jurors didn't show up yesterday. So, yeah.
And I guess the whole political thing where they're, back the blue and the blue is the best. There were 140 cops that were injured. And nobody really seems to care about that.
Well, anyway, I hope I hope we can come together as a nation. I really, really do. And there's been some discussions about some really prominent Republicans about
starting their own
party.
David Jolly is one of them.
So interesting times we have amongst us.
I think that's a Chinese curse. May you always live in interesting times.
Is it really?
It is.
You know what? It's also a good, I think, and I reflect on this Chinese proverb a lot. You know who's the happiest?
Who?
An ignorant person.
That would make sense.
That is true. So we're inevitably unhappy all the time.
So we have an amazing guest with us today.
Yes, speaking of change of
agents.
Unfortunate, terrible, tragic, I can't even fathom.
No.
Horrible personal events. And, coming together as a community for change, to see what we can do from a legislative perspective. I have so much admiration for this individual and
his wife and his family
of what he's been through. From a local perspective. As a mother of the high schoolers here, I'm very aware of this situation. We're so happy to have him on the show. I feel like I'm talking too much, Sheila, so why don't you do the introduction?
14 months ago, there was a tragedy here in our local community. And we'll talk to the father of the victim. And we'll have him explain it in his own words, kind of what happened and what's come out of it. He's done a lot of positive things to get the community motivated and to remember his son. But we know that there's a lot more to do. And we're counting on our audience to help Brad and to help move any legislation forward that we can get for gun safety. We're not taking away anybody's guns. We're not going to destroy the Second Amendment. We just want the guns that people have in their home to be safely stored.
I think we can all agree that we want our children safe.
Yes. So on that note,
without further ado, Mr. Hulett.
Hey guys.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on the Cup of Joe with Anna and Sheila.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
We're sorry that you're on.
Yes.
Yeah, because it would be better if you were just, kind of another neighbor that we'd see at the grocery store. But I think your story deserves to be shared with our broader community as to what happened and what change you're working for and what kind of things you did to help you and your family survive mentally.
Sure. That's a lot. Thank you again for having me on. I apologize if my dogs start barking.
That's okay. We have one on the set.
We have.
All right, good. They're perfectly quiet until this begins. December 13th of 2019, my namesake, my son Bradley, went with 3 friends to game at a friend's house on a Friday afternoon after school. in Fishhawk. The boys, there were three other boys. Two of them got a weapon, brought it in, and thought they would have some fun and scare my son. He had headphones on and is back to the action. From what I understand, he did see the weapon and he said, "Oh, that's real, huh?" And then he turned back around to play. And one of the kids, Ramsey Bevan, I mean, he's on trial now, took the weapon and was playing with it like he was a gangster and pulled the trigger. And when he did, he shot Bradley in the back of the head and killed him instantly. So, yeah, and it's again, it's 14 months tomorrow, and his 17th birthday is February 18th. So it's been a horrific journey. I don't know that I have a lot of advice on the mental health side because, you know, we break down frequently, but work, family, basketball, kids, his friends, we have a huge support group. The neighborhood, Fishhawk's been absolutely, you know, I've said this before on interviews, people talk about how Fishhawk is the bubble, but they couldn't have rallied around us any more or any better. It was really the reason we got through that first month. And here we go with the dogs. It was really the reason we got through that first month. And then, you know, you keep expecting it to gradually get better. In our case, none of the kids except one and none of the parents would cooperate. So we ended up spending another 77 days just in this Groundhog Day, going back and forth. Every day was the same. No one ever did cooperate except under immunity. Ultimately, the police officers, it was a police officer's gun, service weapon, and it was a police officer's house, and his son got immunity and was able to, I'll be very frank, was able to weave a story that his father was innocent, didn't do anything wrong. The gun was properly secured under the law, which under the law probably was. The law is just very weak, and we can talk about that. But they didn't cooperate at all, just one boy did. And that caused this to go on and on and on. We ended up interviewing, I think the detective said 500 or 600 witnesses. And there were only 3 people in the room. And it was just a real mess. And but the community was there for us the whole time and have been ever since. I live in the trails. They've been just awesome. So, you know, it's in a way that's the good that's come out of this. You know, I think people are treating each other a little better. I know you don't see it on the political side and what you guys are talking about, but we see it when we go to basketball tournaments and stuff, because we honor Bradley by playing for his foundation, the BH3 Foundation, and it's been an enlightening experience. I will say on the mental health side, I expected it to get better, and I thought, you know, just a few months and then I'll be able to deal with it and accept it and process it. That 77 days really put that back. And then what I realized was that's just not how it works. You know, the last night I was standing out on my lanai crying. It doesn't go away. And when you look at why it happened, you know, we shouldn't be going through this. His siblings, he has 7 siblings. They shouldn't be going through this. In-laws, relatives, we have a big family, thousands of kids that were friends with Bradley. He was just a wonderful kid. He didn't have enemies. Everybody loved him. And for good reason. He was a nice boy. So it's been a difficult journey, but I think work, my wife, our friends, I've got some really, really strong friends, have helped us to at least, you know, accept this and do the best we can and try and be a change agent in a positive way, as opposed to dwelling on, you know, the horrific journey that we've been on, because that's not going to go away. That's for the rest of our lives. And we understand that and we accept that. But that doesn't mean other families have to go through it. And right. I don't like to say if it saves one life, but I will say after being through this, if I can keep one family from having to feel this, it's well worth it.
Well, I think if you look at some, you know, people who have suffered tragic events, I mean, the founder of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, that's exactly what she did, right? She just raised the issue, enacted change, and there's no telling how many I'll even go hundreds of thousands of lives that woman has saved. Just for, and it's a courageous action, because, you know, people, it's easy just to stay with the status quo and find it from a different perspective. It's courageous to say, you know, I suffered a loss. I don't want others to suffer a loss. I don't know you. I'm going to support you. Is what you're really saying, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting journey because there's so much pushback. You think you're doing something, like in our case, I feel like we're talking about gun storage, gun safety storage. and we're pushing for legislation, in Florida, and hopefully nationally at some point. Although Ethan's law, I don't know if you saw this, but Ethan's law in Connecticut passed, which was some safety storage legislation. It was great. So we're hopeful that we can do that in Florida, but the wickets that you have to weave and the obstacles that are put up, whether it's just people on Facebook, DMing you and saying horrific things or whatever, it makes you not want to mess with it. And I'm pretty hard-headed, so it doesn't really affect me, but my family, my children, it does impact them. And I think one of the first pieces of advice I got from one of the lobbyists was, are you sure you're prepared for what these people are going to do to your family? And I thought about it a long time, and I thought, what, if I can still keep others from having to feel this, then we'll deal with it. We've got enough on our plate. So it's, at this point, we're kind of numb to the pain. So there's nothing anybody's going to do to us. It's kind of weird. You don't have fear anymore. You don't emotionally, if somebody says something rude, your whole life is different. Your mental makeup is different. Walking down the street in the middle of the night doesn't scare you. The little things, you take chances you probably shouldn't take. I don't know why it is, but it's almost like a PTSD if you read about it, that kind of feeling. But so pushback and obstacles aren't going to be an issue for us. And, we're going to break down laws, and we're going to keep doing it until we get it passed. And if not, then I'll be yapping about this 10 years from now.
Well, I really love the fact that you have the Justice for Bradley Facebook page. I'm on it. I know these guys are, and just some of the hurdles that are being put in front of you and how graciously you deal with them, whether it's the trolls or people who say, why are you taking away our guns? Or what are you doing? Just the grace that you share on your page is heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time.
It's cathartic for me. That page has probably been one of the most important things. And I know it probably gets very uncomfortable for people to read sometimes because it's the truth, and it's exactly how you feel at that moment. And sometimes that's not very good. And I don't know how it comes across. I don't go back and reread what I write. Probably a good thing. I'd probably be embarrassed if I read some of that stuff. but you try and share exactly, what you're feeling and where you're going and what's going on. And we're used to the trolls, and I've been on Facebook for a long time. And, I mix it up on there. I like to argue. I like to debate. So it's not the first time somebody said something mean to me.
Right. So speaking about your Facebook page and things you're involved in, can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on, if people want to support you or people want to help you?
The foundation
or some, some of the things that are happening that people might want to read more about or indicate to legislators they support. How can we find out more about that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to follow the Justice for Bradley page, because that's where the updates come out. That's where we post everything, or me personally, or my wife, Megan. As far as the foundation, we've been giving out basketballs and footballs in the underserved communities in Tampa. Unfortunately, the pastor that we were working with, the foundation, has come down with stage 4 cancer and is in treatment, and we've had to put that on pause for now, but we will be kicking that back off here very soon. We also support a basketball team in Bradley's honor, because that was what he did. He loved basketball, and all of his friends play. And then we support other kids throughout Tampa, and really would do it anywhere. It doesn't just have to be Tampa. For young people that can't afford or don't have maybe the opportunities that the kids out here in Fishhawk have. But as of now, I think we've supported 30 kids, and then we've given out 1,000 basketballs and footballs throughout the community. Had the Kona ice truck out. Those folks are great. You see them around the neighborhood all the time. They're wonderful people donating their time, and we've cooked out in these communities. So it's been very rewarding in that sense. And to talk to kids that are quite different than Bradley, to be perfectly frank, and for them to ask you about him and to talk about him, it's very fulfilling. And I know Bradley would be proud of it.
So people can follow the page. Can they make donations as well?
Yeah. BH3 Fund, bh3fund.org is the portal for donations. And we appreciate any help. But we've had a great fundraising year this year, mainly friends colleagues, work colleagues, that kind of thing. So we haven't reached out into the community a lot, although they've been very supportive of us. So I think over the next year, that's going to be more the focus of the foundation. So we're still kind of trying to find our way. There's a lot of irons in the fire with Bradley's Law and those kind of things. And then this court case is still ongoing and going very slow. So, it's tough mentally to stay on top of the foundation, but we're working on it.
Well, hopefully one of some of our viewers can send some donations in and give you a little more of a boost. And if you're looking for another community activist, we'll talk offline because I have the perfect person for you that might be able to step in.
Thank you so much. Any help would be appreciated.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
We're so in awe of your strength and your stamina, and give our love to your wife and to your kids. And we'll be thinking of you on the 17th.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks.
Yikes, I cannot imagine having to go through that, but it's inspiring as well that you're taking this tragedy and trying to prevent it happening, in our community and other communities.
And the fact that our legislators are hesitant to put into place a bill that would protect children. It just baffles me. We've got a couple of our friends who were legislators. I think Mike Beltran's out there. Yes. Mike Beltran, if you're listening.
No,
actually, I'm going to call you today, Mike.
He was supposed to come on today.
I know.
Oh,
Mike, I got your cell phone and I'm calling you today. I have a question for you.
Well, maybe he's only concerned about the lights or internet.
That's true.
But
he lives in Fishhawk. Mike, work on this bill.
Yes.
That's our message to you. And I'm going to call you today too, because I need my COVID vaccine.
But she needs her second COVID vaccine. But I know we try to get off the subject, but I just don't know, Sheila, what it's going to take after Sandy Hook. I don't understand what it's going to take for change to be enacted. Meaning, and we're not talking about taking people's guns away, but just safety and different legislation and different requirements. And I shouldn't get on my soapbox, but this is, I guess,
this is why our soapbox. Yeah,
we have more legislation and requirements for a vehicle
or my uterus. Somebody had a sign at the last march that said, "How come my gun has more rights than my uterus?" And I think that's a valid point. I think that it's easy to say we're going to, go after part of the population, but we don't want to tick off people who will pay our, donate to our campaign.
Yeah.
So what it comes down to, guys, is money. And if we support candidates who are going to work for Bradley's Law and for gun safety financially and with volunteers, like we were over the past year, and get them elected, I think we can see some change, but it's going to take a lot of work.
It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take unification.
Yes.
I mean, we need to focus on things that we all agree on. And generally, and I really truly believe this, that there are a lot of things that we agree on. We do. It's just there's a lot of divisiveness everywhere. And we just need to stop and say, you know what? We as parents, come on, guys.
Keeping a child safe should not be a political issue.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Absolutely not. And I don't care what child it is. If it's a child from Fishhawk, if it's a child from inside Tampa, if it's a child in Mexico, we need to keep all of our children safe.
That's a basic tenet of being an adult. You want to keep your kids safe. Even if you don't have kids, you want to keep children safe.
And if you're not a parent, well, I can just encourage you to read several economic studies that show if you don't take care of the younger generation, what happens?
You're screwed.
That's right. So anyway, we digress. What's coming up next week?
I have no idea. Oh, League of Women. Wait, no,
Jen Patterson.
Jen Patterson, Seeds of Hope.
Seeds of Hope. Is she in New York?
Yes.
Why is she in New York? Oh, she lives both. Oh, okay.
So we will tell you this week, go to the grocery store. There's BOGO sales at every grocery store. Pick up BOGOs.
Wait, BOGOs for what?
Seeds of Hope. They need.
Oh. I thought you were like, wait a minute, BOGO, what are we BOGOing? And BOGOing infers a certain type of grocery store.
Well, I know some other stores have things too that are on sale.
But they don't call it BOGO.
That's true.
So this grocery store will not be mentioned.
Okay, we won't mention that grocery store, but go to any grocery store other than one we're not going to mention.
That's right. Go to the grocery store that's around here that has loyalty cards, and that can kind of help you determine what coupons would be beneficial for you.
And they have some really good coupons
Maybe
too.
some really good coupons, and then you can get some good deals on gas.
Yep. One of the things that they need, so if you guys are up by the dollar store.
Wait, can I
Yes.
continue this part of the
Sorry.
conversation? But I think people support the grocery store who shall not be named because it's a native Floridian grocery store.
We don't like them.
But so is the other grocery store. People don't understand that. It's
Yes.
called Southeastern Grocers.
Yes. Yep. And they have really good deals. They had really good avocados this week too. Anyway.
Ooh, and you know, they had sumo oranges. Have you had sumo oranges?
Yes.
Someone turned me on to those things, and I hate that person for turning me on to them, but they are so, so good.
They are.
And not only are we supporting cocksucker supports, but you know, the beef people, they actually have the best beef, hands down.
They do.
Best beef.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
But Seeds of Hope needs canned goods, dry goods. So think pasta, spaghetti sauce, peanut butter, jelly. The other thing is powdered milk or canned milk. Toiletries.
What about green beans and beans?
Yep. And the
leftovers from Thanksgiving, if we got to, you know, I always get
as long as they're not expired.
Well, I think that's another misnomer. I think cans are actually good longer than what they say on there, but you can't give those. So eat your expired ones, folks, and then just give the ones that aren't expired to Seeds of Hope.
The other thing is condiments. Everybody forgets condiments.
And condoms, for that matter. So you need to wear your condoms and remember your condiments.
Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, salt, pepper. Those are the things that nobody bothers to donate. And you can't use food stamps or SNAP for condiments. You can only use it for food.
Everyone's entitled to their ketchup.
Yes, and mayo and mustard and salt and pepper.
And their relish.
Yeah.
That's right. Actually, salt is probably the important condiment to have, I would think.
It is.
Especially if you're not getting good nutrition.
Right. And if you go to the dollar store, you can get the little salt and pepper shakers that you use like in picnics. They're 50 cents each. You can get a whole handful of them. Let me tell you, salt and pepper is a key on some foods.
Right. So
Seeds of Hope is next week.
We totally digress. So Seeds of Hope is next week.
So save your canned goods this week. We'll tell you where to drop them off next week. And the week after that is
League of Women Voters.
Yes.
That should be exciting. I don't know how we're going to be able to talk because there's so many women and we go all over the place.
Yes.
Not that that's indicative of a trait of women. We just tend to have a lot going on and we
have a lot to say.
multitask. We have a lot to say.
We do. We have a lot to say.
And we're affecting change, which we didn't get to that on the whole Bradley discussion. But I'll say this. And his page, the people that are supporting him are the majority. I think he said like
88%,
77%, 88%
are women,
white women. Yes.
And the rest are African American.
That's true.
So we can affect change. You need to call your legislature. There's no gun bill in the state legislature right now for gun safety. There's a gun bill that would allow you to carry a concealed weapon in a church. Yeah, there's a whole bunch
I don't remember that commandment, actually.
I don't either.
I'm just a bad
Was that
Catholic.
the 11th?
I'm the bad Catholic.
Yeah.
It tends, well, we don't want to get down that, but I'm just, from some of the things I've said today, I mean, the Pope is like, what is she saying? Anyway, well, maybe not this Pope. I really do like this Pope.
Still too conservative for me, but he's better than the rest.
So Sheila, the other person we're going to have on, I'm very excited about, is a professor at Wharton. He's also contemplating a Senate run in the state of Pennsylvania.
Will he have Trump's academic records?
I think that's one of his initiatives. He's challenging Trump's academic records.
Yeah, because Trump didn't really go to the Wharton Business School. He went to the Wharton School as an undergrad. Because my brother went to the Wharton Business School. Yeah, it's like the Four Seasons landscaping.
4 Seasons. That was classic, though. I mean, we can't make that stuff up. No. Anyway, so we have a lot going on, a lot of interesting guests. Please let us know if you can think of someone else who'd be interested in coming on the show. Like, follow, share.
Yep.
Cup of Joe FL.
And as a teaser, the three brothers from Midas Touch will be joining us in April. Woo! So that's a good teaser. And what they're telling us is that they're going to be spending money in Florida.
And the Lincoln Group indicated they were going to be spending some money in Florida.
There's a couple bills in the State House in Florida which would limit your ability to vote by mail. In fact, there's one, it's on our page. It's going to be heard on the 16th that would limit your ability to vote by mail to 1 calendar year as opposed to 1 election cycle. So that needs to be stopped. Anyway, do we have anything else?
Just Sunny at, I think it's called Flower Power. It's her new business, and she does little baking goods. She does
Oh my God, these are really smelly good.
arrangements, and I think these are great for Valentine's Day. That's why I brought it out. I forgot to mention that's the reason that these are, you know, they're
Perfect.
I guess something to talk about for this weekend because of the Hallmark. And
Yes.
why support Hallmark? Support the local single
Support your local
women.
business. Shop local.
Shop local.
Anyway, to Ruth.
To Ruth. Thanks, everyone. Like,
Thanks.
follow, share.